Imagine for a moment that there exists a symbol capable of crossing millennia without losing its power. A symbol so ancient it predates empires, religions, and borders. It appears silently on temple walls, in sacred tombs, in places that guard the wisdom of a forgotten civilization. This symbol is not just a mark, it's a key to a mystery carefully protected by priests and kings, as if revealing it would unleash a knowledge the world isn't ready to understand. Some say it represents eternal life. Others claim it's a portal to realities beyond human comprehension. And there are those who believe it was a gift from the gods themselves, left only for the chosen few. Have you ever wondered why a simple design, a loop and a cross, has provoked so much fascination, fear, and reverence throughout history? What is hidden behind its elegant yet hypnotic shape? Why does it keep appearing in sacred, occult, and alchemical records? What were they trying to tell us? The truth is, the symbol known as the Ankh, the Egyptian Ankh cross, is far from being a mere decorative artifact. It carries a code that speaks of origin, continuity, and power over existence itself. According to esoteric traditions, it's a bridge between the world of the living and the realm of the gods, a map disguised in plain sight. Imagine walking through the silent corridors of a pyramid, lit only by the faint glow of a torch, and seeing this symbol carved into the stone. It was there before your birth, before your language, even before history itself was written. It whispers, "I have always been here. I have seen everything." Why did this symbol survive the passage of time when so many others faded away? What secret does it hold that allowed it to endure wars, invasions, and religious censorship? Some forbidden manuscripts suggest it was used in secret rituals to channel invisible forces. Others point to connections with civilizations even older than Egypt itself. And some theories go further, suggesting the Ankh wasn't just a symbol, it was spiritual technology, a tool used by initiates to access higher dimensions. Can you feel it? That strange pull deep inside, as if a hidden memory has just awakened, as if a part of you recognizes this symbol without ever studying it. That's no coincidence. That's the power of an archetype. It crosses generations, languages, and cultures, speaking directly to the most ancient layers of the human mind. And today, you're about to uncover layers of this mystery that have been kept hidden for centuries. If you've made it this far, it's not by chance. Your journey begins now. Subscribe to this channel so you don't miss what's to come, because from this point on, what will be revealed may forever change the way you see the past and yourself. To truly understand the meaning of the Ankh, we must travel back thousands of years to a time when the desert still whispered secrets, and the winds of the Nile carried stories spoken only among priests and temple builders. The Ankh emerged at the very heart of ancient Egyptian civilization as a sacred emblem, a mark carved into temples, tombs, amulets, and papyrus scrolls, always tied to forces that transcended ordinary life. Also known as the Cruz Ansata, the Ankh has the shape of a cross topped with an oval loop. Simple yet profoundly enigmatic, it wasn't created as decoration, but as a symbolic portal, a vessel of layered meanings intertwined with the spiritual foundations of Egypt itself. Historians and archaeologists have found representations of the Ankh in murals dating back more than 3,000 years before Christ, when pharaohs were considered living gods, and temples were not just stone structures, but spiritual machines linking earth to the divine. The Ankh is often seen in the hands of deities such as Isis, Osiris, and Ra, as if it were the very essence of life being passed down to pharaohs. In these depictions, the Ankh is often held close to the nose or lips of a figure, symbolizing the breath of life, the divine bestowal of immortality. What makes this symbol even more fascinating is that it does not merely represent a religious or political concept. It embodies an entire worldview. The oval loop represents the spiritual realm, the vertical axis represents the connection between heaven and earth, and the horizontal bar represents existence on the physical plane. Together they form a structure that mirrors the cycle of creation, death, and rebirth. In the ancient Egyptian language, the word Ankh literally meant life, but not just any life. It meant eternal life, the continuation of consciousness after the last breath. That's why the Ankh appears so often in funerary art and burial chambers. It wasn't just an ornament, but a symbolic key guiding the soul into immortality. Egyptian priests believed that by mastering the mysteries of the Ankh, they could maintain the vital force even after physical death. This belief was deeply tied to the Duat, the Egyptian underworld, and the spiritual journey each soul was destined to undertake. Interestingly, excavations have revealed that the Ankh was not reserved for the royal elite. Common people also carried amulets shaped like it, which suggests that the hope for eternal life was not exclusive. It was a collective belief shared by an entire civilization. Many temples, such as Karnak and Luxor, feature inscriptions where the Ankh appears side by side with solar symbols, emphasizing its direct link with the sun, the source of all life. The solar disk was seen as the dwelling of Ra, the creator god, and the Ankh acted as a bridge, a conductor of divine energy. It wasn't just an image, it was an instrument. Some texts hint that it was used in sacred rituals designed to channel life force to heal, protect, and even prolong human existence. But the Ankh didn't vanish after Egypt's decline. It re-emerged in other cultures, adopted by esoteric orders, mystical movements, and even reinterpreted by early Christians as a form of the cross. That's what sets this symbol apart. True archetypal symbols don't belong to one time or culture. They travel through centuries, adapting and carrying their message forward like an unbroken flame. The Ankh was also a symbol of power. Only those who held its knowledge, priests, pharaohs, initiates, could access rituals and teachings hidden deep inside temple chambers. These ceremonies were said to be advanced for their time, involving altered states of consciousness, energy alignment, and practices that today would be called mystical or even scientific. Its presence in coronation and initiation ceremonies reveals that it wasn't just linked to the afterlife. It was also tied to authority, enlightenment, and the mastery of cosmic cycles. In temple architecture, many structures were aligned with constellations and solar cycles, and some researchers believe the Ankh's shape may have influenced sacred layouts. It was part of a larger symbolic language designed to connect the human realm with the divine. This concept of a bridge between worlds resonates across cultures. Similar symbols have been found in Mesopotamia and ancient India, hinting that the Ankh may reflect a universal wisdom far older than Egypt itself. Esoteric texts claim that the Ankh was used as an energetic instrument. The loop amplified vital force while the cross directed it, creating fields of protection and healing. How did an ancient civilization design something so profound that it still endures today? How did this knowledge survive wars, invasions, and censorship? Perhaps because certain symbols are not inventions, they are discoveries. Archetypal truths carved into the collective soul of humanity. The Ankh was not just carved into temple walls, it was embedded into human consciousness. But this is only the beginning. Understanding the Ankh's history is like stepping through the outer gate of a much larger mystery. Its true power lies in its hidden meanings, in the silent connections that span centuries and civilizations. And that's what we will explore next. Stay until the end, because what comes next goes far beyond history. Behind the graceful, silent form of the Ankh lies a labyrinth of meanings that transcend time, religion, and logic itself. At first glance, it appears to be nothing more than a cross topped with a loop. But in truth, every line, curve, and proportion of this ancient symbol was crafted to represent invisible forces, cosmic patterns, and spiritual truths that the rational mind cannot easily grasp. The Ankh is not just a relic of Egypt, it is a map. A symbolic diagram that, according to Hermetic and esoteric traditions, reveals the intimate relationship between life force, consciousness, and the eternal cycles of the universe. At the heart of this mystery lies its shape. The loop represents the eternal aspect of spirit, the invisible world that precedes and outlives the material one. The vertical stem connects heaven to earth, while the horizontal bar reflects the plane of human existence. Together, these elements form a diagram of creation itself, birth, death, and rebirth. Many mystics and occult scholars see the Ankh as a representation of the sacred union between the masculine and feminine principles, the very foundation of creation. The loop is the feminine womb, the cosmic matrix from which life emerges. The vertical line is the masculine seed, the activating principle. The horizontal crossbeam is the balance between the two. This vision aligns with the Egyptian idea that the universe was sustained by harmony between opposing but complementary forces, light and shadow, order and chaos, heaven and earth. This idea of duality as a creative force also appears in distant cultures, yin and yang in Taoism, Shiva and Shakti in Hinduism, the sun and moon in Hermetic alchemy. Such parallels suggest that the Ankh may not have been an isolated Egyptian creation, but part of a primordial knowledge shared across civilizations, an echo of a single universal wisdom that humanity once knew and later forgot. The Ankh's design also resembles the energetic circuits of the human body, described in alchemy, yoga, and ancient healing practices. The loop mirrors the auric field around the head, the halo or crown of spiritual light. The vertical line represents the spinal column, where life energy flows. The horizontal bar aligns with the heart center, the bridge between the physical and the divine. In this sense, the Ankh becomes not just a symbol, but a tool, a visual key to activate the sacred flow of life energy. Esoteric schools describe rituals where the Ankh was used as an energy conductor, amplifying and directing vital force to heal, protect, or even awaken consciousness. In ancient depictions, deities hold the Ankh like a torch of light. In others, it hovers over gateways, signifying passages between worlds. Some Hermetic texts describe it as a doorway diagram, capable of opening portals into subtler planes of existence. Could it be that the Ankh was designed not only as a symbol, but as functional spiritual technology, a visual key to other dimensions? This theory may sound daring, but many sacred symbols serve precisely that function. Mandalas, yantras, and alchemical diagrams all act as energetic maps for meditation, helping the initiate transcend physical reality. The Ankh, in this sense, could have served as Egypt's version of that, a tool to access the invisible through the power of form and intention. Another powerful connection lies between the Ankh and the sun. In countless inscriptions, the symbol appears alongside the solar disk, radiating from the hands of gods toward pharaohs. To the Egyptians, the sun wasn't just a celestial body, it was the visible face of the divine, the source of all life. The Ankh was the bridge to that source. Some bold researchers, often dismissed by academia, suggest that the Ankh might have been part of highly advanced energy rituals, ceremonies designed to absorb and redirect solar or cosmic power. In this interpretation, the Ankh is not a passive object, but an ancient instrument, an antenna that captures and focuses energy through sacred geometry. This may explain why the Ankh is found in temples aligned with stars and constellations. The Egyptians didn't build at random. They constructed their temples according to cosmic order, mirroring the heavens on earth. The Ankh, appearing within this context, becomes a celestial key. Even more mysteriously, similar symbols have been discovered in Mesopotamia, pre-Columbian America, and ancient India. How could cultures separated by oceans and thousands of years conceive of such similar designs? Coincidence? Or evidence of a shared, forgotten wisdom, the remnants of an ancient global consciousness? For medieval alchemists and mystics, the Ankh represented transmutation, the process of harmonizing spirit, soul, and body. The loop stood for spirit, the crossbar for the soul, and the stem for the body. To unite the three was to achieve immortality, not of the flesh but of awareness. This mirrors the Hermetic maxim, as above, so below, as within, so without. In this sense, the Ankh becomes a mirror of the universe itself. It is a reminder that the same creative energy that births stars also flows through us. But perhaps the most mysterious power of the Ankh is not found in temples or texts, it's found within. Some say that simply contemplating it in silence awakens something deep within the psyche, a subtle recognition, as if the soul were remembering something ancient. That's because true symbols are not just drawings, they are archetypes. They live in the collective unconscious of humanity and awaken when we encounter them. The Ankh is one of those rare archetypes. It speaks to the oldest layers of human memory. It calls to something that existed before language, before time. And that is why it endures. It transcends civilizations because it doesn't belong to any. It belongs to the soul itself. Understanding the hidden meanings of the Ankh is not merely an intellectual pursuit, it is a spiritual awakening. It's not about looking at history, but about remembering it through your own consciousness, because perhaps this symbol isn't outside of you at all. Perhaps it has been waiting within you, in silence, for the moment you were ready to see. As we walk through the invisible corridors of history, we reach the moment when the Ankh ceases to be just an archaeological artifact, an emblem etched into temple walls, or an amulet worn by pharaohs. It becomes something far more intimate, a philosophical and spiritual mirror, a symbol that doesn't simply represent existence but reflects it. The Ankh, in its deepest essence, is not only a sign of eternal life, it represents the nature of consciousness itself. For the ancient Egyptians, to live wasn't simply to breathe or exist in the physical realm. To live was to be aware of the bridge between the seen and the unseen, between the body and the soul, between what begins and what never ends. The Ankh was the key to that bridge. Its shape tells a story that words can barely hold. The loop at the top suggests a cycle with no beginning and no end, a silent portal to eternity, a reminder that everything in existence is caught in a continuous flow of birth, death, and rebirth. The vertical stem speaks of the earthly path, straight, individual, inescapable, while the horizontal bar represents the shared experience of connection, of meeting others along the journey. In this reading, the Ankh is not just a religious emblem. It's a metaphor for the human condition, an eternal soul passing through a temporary body. But why does this idea endure across time? Why have entire civilizations felt the need to depict immortality with such precision? Perhaps because deep down, humanity has always carried the same unspoken question: what happens after the last breath? For the Egyptians, the answer lived within this symbol. Life didn't end with death, it transformed. Consciousness simply passed through the portal, guided by the Ankh, and continued its journey in another realm. This perspective reveals something extraordinary. The Ankh was never about fear, it was about hope. It wasn't about an end, it was about continuation, eternity, expansion. Unlike many symbols created to control through doctrine, the Ankh opens the mind. It whispers, "You are more than flesh and bone, you are infinite." From a philosophical point of view, the Ankh can be understood as an invitation to see existence beyond linear time. What if birth and death are not opposites, but curves of the same circle? What if what we call the end is nothing but another beginning? What if the meaning has been right in front of us all along, hidden in plain sight in this ancient loop and cross? In many spiritual traditions, the Ankh is also tied to the concept of the center. The loop above can be seen as divine consciousness, the source. The vertical stem, the path of the seeker. The horizontal line, the place where opposites meet, the heart. And it is no coincidence that many spiritual teachings speak of the heart as the true center of the soul. It is the meeting place of heaven and earth, spirit and matter. This raises an even deeper question. What if the Ankh is not merely a symbol to look at, but a reminder of who we are? What if it has always been telling us that we, too, are bridges between worlds? That our physical existence is just a brief expression of something infinitely greater? Modern spiritual philosophies often echo this same truth. Consciousness does not end, it shifts. The Ankh embodies that. Immortality is not found in flesh, but in awareness. To the ancient priests, holding the Ankh wasn't a display of power, it was a proclamation. I am eternal. Equally important is the idea of balance. The Ankh's three parts depend on each other. Spirit without matter drifts. Matter without spirit collapses. Balance is what gives meaning to life. This forces us to ask, how often do we forget this harmony? How often do we live as if we were only a body, ignoring the silent, eternal part of us that never ages? The Ankh invites us to remember, to awaken. It tells us that to live is to participate in something far greater than ourselves. Every breath, every sunrise, every ending and beginning, all of it is part of one endless pulse. Spiritually, the Ankh was also a seal of protection. Egyptians believed it created an energetic field that shielded the soul and guided it through the passage to the next plane. To wear the Ankh was to say, "I know where I'm going, even when everything ends." Even today, countless people are drawn to this symbol without fully understanding why. Have you ever wondered why so many feel connected to it, almost instinctively? Perhaps it's because something deep within recognizes the call. Perhaps the Ankh speaks to an ancient part of us that remembers the truth. Archetypes work this way. They bypass language, religion, and culture. They speak directly to the soul. The Ankh is one of those rare archetypes. It reminds us that death is not a wall but a doorway, that life is a flow, and that consciousness never fades. When you look at it, you're not just observing a piece of the past. You are participating in a silent conversation with the cosmos itself. So ask yourself, what does this symbol awaken in you? What does it whisper in the quiet corners of your mind? Is it fear, fascination, a strange, undeniable recognition? Perhaps that's because this symbol isn't outside of you at all. It's within you, and has been all along. The Ankh is not a relic, it is a reminder. A timeless call to remember what we are. Bridges between the visible and the invisible, between beginnings and what never ends. The Ankh began this story as a silent figure carved into ancient Egyptian stone, hidden inside temples, guarded by gods and pharaohs. But now, in this very moment, it is no longer just a relic of the past. It has become a mirror standing before you. Say a mirror that doesn't simply reflect who you are, but who you have always been, and who you might still become. Perhaps you felt something while listening to this journey. A strange chill, a subtle stirring, a whisper that this symbol holds more than just lines and shapes. What if that feeling isn't just curiosity? What if it's an ancient memory calling to be remembered? The Ankh carries the promise of eternal life, not in the shallow sense of endless flesh, but as a symbol of consciousness, of continuity, of the soul that never dies. It is a key. But keys only matter when someone chooses to use them. So ask yourself, what if this key has just landed in your hands? What if this symbol is not just a story from the past, but a personal invitation for you to remember who you are, where you came from, and where you're going? What if the door has always been right in front of you, waiting for you to see it? For thousands of years, priests, kings, and seekers have stared at this symbol in silence, believing it didn't just represent life. It opened it. They believed it marked the threshold between endings and beginnings, between this world and what lies beyond. And now this same symbol has found its way to you, not as a museum artifact, but as a living echo. Can you feel the weight of this moment? That subtle awareness that perhaps there's something ancient beneath the surface of our modern world, that maybe you are here, right now, not by accident. How many times in your life have you felt that there's something more? Something you can't quite name but can feel pulsing behind everything? How many times have symbols like this called to you silently, like an echo from another time? The Ankh doesn't demand belief. It doesn't belong to any one religion. It simply awakens, it reminds, it connects. And the real question echoing now is this: are you ready to listen? Are you ready to step through the door it represents? Or will you keep observing from a distance, like so many who passed by this symbol without ever truly seeing it? The choice is yours. It always has been. But if something inside you stirred during this journey, if you felt that silent pulse, then maybe this is your moment to go deeper. Because the journey with the Ankh doesn't end here. It's only beginning. In the next video, we'll dive even further into the realm of ancient symbols and forbidden mysteries that shaped our civilization in ways official history will never tell you. If this symbol spoke to you, if this story awakened something inside you, now is the time to act. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss what's coming next, and click on the video appearing on your screen to uncover the next hidden code that connects directly to the mystery of the Ankh. Are you ready to go deeper? If the answer is yes, then the door is already opening.